Mena, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to please do tell us where are you today and how's the weather where you are?
Yeah, I'm in the heartland and the weather is being intermittently wet. So,
Intermittently wet, yes. Yes, good. And Gregory, where are you today and how's the weather where are you? Where you are, sorry.
Just like where you are, it's been dull everywhere.
Dull everywhere. Okay, same here in North London. It's been raining, drizzle and a bit of rain. Not too cold, I would say. But good. So, dear, to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And we have a new topic every week. The topic for tonight is our works follow us. Our works follow us. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. On this number, the UK number, which is 079 444 31366. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 31366. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And as usual, I'm going to start with what is the Grail message? The Grail message in the light of truth by Abdushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Abdushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author of the Grail message, Abdushin. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you again, the topic for discussion tonight is our works follow us. I'll say it again, our works follow us. And if you have any questions or comments, please do join us. You can contact us on this number, UK number, which is 079 444 313-666. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447944431366. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, my first question, it's about really what the title says there. Our works follow us. So, our works, and the first question I would like to ask, our works, what does it mean? I mean, the first thing I think of when I think of that is our deeds, our actions. But then what about our words that we speak? What about our thoughts? And what about, even in today's time of election, the promises people are making? Are they also our works? So please, Gregory, tell us, what are our works?
Thanks for that particular question. The word works points to activity and act. The activity could be viewed from a spiritual standpoint and from an earthly standpoint. The works of the spiritual standpoint, they are more permanent than those of the earthly or the intellectual works. When thoughts are considered, there are also the intellectual thoughts which do not last for long, and also there are the intuitive thoughts, which are the effects of spiritual activity. When these activities mature, they have returns. It is these returns, or to view it differently, whenever spiritual works are mentioned, these works have an input. It means the spirit has an input, an impression on it, and therefore that impression lasts as long as that work is being supplied with power or supplied with energy. When there's no more supply of energy for that particular work, then it vanishes because there's no more supply. Therefore, we then have a scenario where our works, as long as we supply power or strength to that particular thread, which thread form the work, then that connection is there. And when these works gather with other works, coalesce, and form something else, we are shareholders in what has been formed. And since we have an imprint through that thread we have given out, the returns then come back and help to form our environment, which environment on the long run may be called or may be interpreted as the fate which now awaits us, because we ourselves have given the threats, have sown the seeds, and we still have a connection.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I just want to explore this topic further about the different works that we do. So let's say I mean, let's start with something simple, with our actions, the deeds that we can all see in a physical way that we do. Um, so when we do a deed, let's say we help someone. It could be across the road or whatever it is, type of helpful action that we do. Um, the reward for that or the result of that, is it going to be like the same? What I'm trying to say is, yeah, the reward for that, is that the same type of reward somebody will help us in future when we do that, uh, or maybe a simple thank you from the person who we helped to cross the road? Is that a reward for that type of deed, or how does this reward, if I can use the word reward, of the every action that we take, um, how does it manifest?
Thanks again. Although if one had followed the clarification one made a few moments ago, then the picture would have been seen. When one helps some other person and the deeds in quotes are seen, the thoughts that preceded that physical deed, those thoughts could be intellectual or could be spiritual. So it is the effect of either the spiritual or the intellectual that now culminates and manifests as a deed. So if one is to carry out a particular task, then there would have been, before that task, either something spiritual thoughts about it, or volition about it, or an intellectual volition. So we have that on the one side, that which we cannot see, what precedes the final manifestation, which now results in a physical activity to offer some help. In that particular scenario, the imprint lies in the thoughts behind it. And these thoughts that one has mentioned could be an intellectual volition or a spiritual volition. As long as that connection is still there, then in accordance with the laws of creation, through which all operations, be thoughts, deeds, the laws of creation that govern creation, the laws of creation, which is also expressed as the laws of nature, that allows the operation, all operations, to come into existence. These laws help with the connection or with the disconnection of these threads which have been woven previously. As long as these connections are there, there will be return, whether it was done in a spiritual sense, only as a thought, or only as deeds, or a thought and a deed. But the volition of the thought precedes that deed. It always. In the final analysis, there are returns. These returns precipitate and then manifests as either the good deeds that, or if not or the bad deeds, or that one had sown earlier in creation. That is the procedure. These are the operations.
Thank you again, Gregory, for clarifying that. And you know, when I started the initial question, I talked about words, thoughts, deeds, and promises. And I know you've given a picture in a multi-level, if I can say multi-level. You know, if you've covered that in your answer, that let's say the process of how a works, what the works are, and how they sort of move forward at the different levels of work. You know, you could say the physical deed, like you say, but before that physical deed, you had the thought, and you also differentiated that there's the intellectual process behind something, and it can be also a spiritual process behind something. So now, thinking about so let's look at the intellectual and spiritual aspects.
Yeah, sorry, before you
Oh
go,
yeah, go on, Mena. You want to say something?
Yeah, you did ask if the action itself would correspond with the reward. Like if you help someone across the world, what you get in return. I think that was what you were trying to.
Yes, I was wondering if the reward would happen like immediately, or would be later on. Would it be, and how it would manifest? Would it manifest like the simple thank you from the person you're helping across the road? Is that enough reward, or enough? Is that the reward, or there's another type of in place where you'll be helped, you know, because you help someone else, you know. So it's just trying to look at the sort of how these things manifest, because I think Gregory, as you mentioned, it's the laws of creation or nature that makes all these activities, you know, produce the results, you know. So everything happens within the natural laws. So we can see that what we have done, our actions, and you know the thoughts that we have produced, but then we don't see the result. You know, the result doesn't come through us. The result comes from the laws, and so, in a sense, I was trying to get a sensing of that. The reward is given to is not in our hands. We just do the action, and then suddenly, and at some point, we get the result. And my question really was relating to, yes, how does that manifest? Is that, as I say, if you use that example of crossing the road, just a simple one, would that be, how would the result of that manifest?
Yeah.
And I know you did go into, yeah.
One has stressed, how these laws operates in all the activities in creation. Basically, you will find that once one has given rise to a thread, these threads, when they then precipitate, like the crossing of a road, helping someone, and the person says thank you, that is an instant return of gratitude. But it doesn't stop there, because that thread which had been sown, depending on the fervor with which it was sown, remains in creation and will attract those things of similar nature, or one may refer to as the equivalent nature of homogeneous nature, and will now lead to further precipitation of that act of kindness. Helping someone to cross the road is an offer of kindness. It may also happen that along the line, you yourself may be helped to cross the road. What one is stressing here, kindness is not tied to a specific activity. Kindness could also return that someone helps you in one way or the other. It could be some advice. It could manifest in many different ways. But deep within, what lies behind it, the motive, since the initiator harbors kindness, then he himself or herself has woven a thread or has initiated a thread of kindness. It is that kindness that will attract the different parts such that kindness will continue to stream back sooner or later. But it doesn't stop there. As this activity returns kindness to the initiator in the evolution of events, if the initiator on the long run or along the line changes inwardly such that instead of being kind, he himself becomes unkind, depending on the intensity that he himself has achieved, the states of the soul. When that thread of kindness returns to the initiator, it could be such that the thread is unable to penetrate the atmosphere he himself has built around, and therefore such returns will glide away from him or her. If, however, along the line, in the evolution of things, he has maintained that state of kindness, always perpetual goodness, then in all clarity, the returns are able to penetrate the atmosphere or the surroundings he has built around himself and will be of great help to him. The modes, how these things will come, depends on the person, the initiator. The initiator always decides what is able to reach him or not to reach him.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I have a question about, this process that you have described about how the laws are, when we do a deed and how the laws operate and so on. We don't see that process, it's all invisible to us. And there might be people who are skeptic about what we are saying. Is there a way we can show that to them, prove it to them, that there are these laws that are working, invisibly, and because we don't see the the process. We talk about it here, and you could say that's just a theory. It might be true, it might not be true. So, is there a way to verify what we are saying, or what you're saying, that these laws exist and then these things actually happen?
Of course, there is a way, but the way varies with each individual.
No, I think I got the wrong number.
Each individual must be prepared.
No, I think you got the wrong number. It's not reader here.
If
Thank
an
you. Bye.
individual
Bye.
asks a question, the question is more of a demand. The question is more of a request. And when one is involved in a quest, that particular individual must prepare himself or herself in the path he has set for himself. So the answer to questions depends on the inner preparedness of the individual who has embarked on a quest. The quest which here is mentioned is that of one's intuition. One's intuition in the sense that he or she must observe intuitively. Observation by intuition only means through one's intuition, you send out questions and the effect or the returns of what one has sent out, one is able to observe it. So it requires earnest effort, not just talk and discuss things about it. This one is theoretical. No one will say that the act of breathing in and breathing out is theory, because they themselves, as long as they are alive, know that they have to breathe in and breathe out. So there is no need to convince anyone about breathing in and breathing out. One can extend it that what one observes as an object today is called an object because it's able to exchange. If there is an object which does not exchange with the environment, that object cannot be in the environment. Even when you look at the masses, look at the mass of stone. The mass of stone, one may say, or take a human being. The human being that we see in flesh and blood. Flesh and blood. The flesh is made up of molecules. The blood is made up of molecules, of DNA, of germ molecules. Going deeper and deeper, you now come to the atoms. Going deeper and deeper, you come to so-called subatomic particles. These subatomic particles can be broken down further and further until you get to an extent that they are so tiny and the eye cannot even observe it. Yet, the questioner believes, without further examination, that atoms make up molecules, which molecules make up the germ molecules that now form the object or the person in flesh and blood. And all the while, he or she has never examined all these things. Well, for anyone who asks questions, that person must be prepared to, through one's intuition, to examine. But the case here, which is unique, is that how can one use one's intuition to examine? First, do many ever, are they convinced that they have an inner core which is of spirit, and that it is the activity of the spirit which one that gives rise to intuition, which intuition now manifests itself in the back brain and then sends information to the frontal brain? The first thing for anyone to do is to acquire the necessary knowledge about the connections. Once the connections becomes very clear, which connections or knowledge of the connections can be found in the work, in the light of truth, grail message. But even there is the need for continuous exertion to understand the processes which processes run nature, which processes are everywhere, which processes also enable the operations which we see. So the first step is to understand the laws that govern these processes. Not because one is talking about theory. One has to convince himself or herself that indeed there are laws of creation or laws of nature. Then the bandage falls, and what they had believed all this while, through continuous rigorous search, the bandage falls and their belief now moves forward to conviction. Else, it remains a theory.
Thank you again, Gregory, for your answer there, comprehensive answer. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdrushing. And if you're interested in getting a copy of the Grail message or want some more information, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic of our show tonight is our works follow us. Our works follow us. And if you want to join in with any questions or comments, the number to contact us here, the UK number is 079 444 31366. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 31366. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, I've got another question, which is about, are our deeds or records of our deeds stored somewhere? Is there like a book of creation where everything is recorded?
Thanks for that question, which one will repeat as, is there a record of our deeds? That if we have a book where these things are recorded, life itself, our existence, is such that energy is what is key. Dynamic energy. On the one hand, one may refer to as the elements. Which elements are necessary for any formation in nature? Just like we have the elements that we refer to that form the basis for matter, or that we have here on earth, or in the physical world. On the other hand, there is, or one may refer to as the laws, which laws help us to understand, condition how the elements unite and form alliances to form those things which are bigger, referred to as the molecules or the giant molecules in the fine. That is very clear. We know that exists. On the other hand, we have the power, which power drives, gives life to activities, to the laws, and to the elements, or what we refer to as the substances. These, the operation of this, of the power, of the laws, and of the substances, this operation form what one may refer to as threads. A thread is a line of activity, unique of its own, a line of vibration. And therefore, we have that in the weaving, in the operations of these laws, we have records, records which have been arranged. And that's why you now have that there are returns when one creates or forms a line of activity or a thread. That thread is a record, which record is not just static, but is dynamic. That thread which the human spirit has stamped is an impression on, and it is attached, or it will radiate back in accordance with the law of creation, that of reciprocal activity. And so you find it is these threads interweaving, they form, in quotes, the records. And they are there as long as the human spirit continued to energize what they had formed initially. If, on the long run, they do not energize the forms they have put in creation, gradually these forms will die out. Just like we also have that it is the volition of the spirit that enabled the human spirit to take on the form of the human body that we now have today. As time goes on, as at the time of departure, at the time of death, the threads which connect the human, the spirit and the body, those threads dissolve.
This is a radio station.
And therefore, things then fall apart.
No,
The record,
I'm sorry, someone's giving me a wrong number there.
what the form which had been held all this while now dissolves. It means that the body now goes back and disintegrates. Whereas initially it is that human spirit or that human soul that gave the possibility for an integration and bringing the different parts together, and the human body is formed. For it is the inner man, that is the spirit, that forms it. So all this, one can see what a record is. The record which sometimes is temporal, or the record which sometimes is permanent. But all this are easily understood if one observes creation.
Thank you for that, Gregory. There's something from the New Testament, and I'd like to just read out, and if you can share, tell us, have a, let's say, discussion on that. So this is from Matthew chapter 7, verse, I'm going to say 15 to 20. And it's titled A Tree and Its Fruit. And it's talking of, Jesus is talking here, and talking actually about false prophets. But there's a saying that Jesus said, "By their works ye shall know them." So this is coming from this part of the Bible. So I'm going to read this out. So this is from Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 to 20. Be on your guard against false prophets. They come to you looking like sheep on the outside, but on the inside they're really like wild wolves. You will know them by what they do. Thorn bushes do not bear grapes, and briars do not bear figs. A healthy tree bears good fruit, but a poor tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a poor tree cannot bear good fruit. And any tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown in the fire. So then, you will know the false prophets by what they do. I think I'll just read it again, just to bring the picture again. So the title is "The Tree and Its Fruit," with Jesus speaking. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 to 20. Be on your guard against false prophets. They come to you looking like sheep on the outside, but on the inside, they're really like wild wolves. You will know them by what they do. Thorn bushes do not bear grapes, and briars do not bear figs. A healthy tree bears good fruit, but a poor tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a poor tree cannot bear good fruit. And any tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then you will know the false prophets by what they do. So Gregory, I just wanted to ask you, what is Jesus saying here? The famous saying is, "By their works ye shall know them." So is he just talking only about the false prophets, which is what most people think when this is being said, or is it more, let's say, universal than that?
Of course, it is not only talking about the false prophet, but what's the works of the false prophets, the inner works. First, that paragraph, or whatever one may call it, tells us that one must be on the alert and one must examine everything that comes one's way. In the process of examination, one use the inner intuition to ascertain that which is beneficial from that which is not beneficial, or that which occurs to the works or to the laws of creation, and those which are false. And many who come forward, there is the need to examine their motive. It is the motive. By motive, one is referring to the works of the Spirit. The motives are what sort of activates what one then sees physically by their works. The works are now referred to as the final fruits you see physically. So, with every work, one should ask, what is the motive? First, what is the motive of creation? What activates creation? Secondly, one should ask, in our own activities, what is the motive behind it? And thirdly, the works of the so-called prophets. What is their motive? If one then understands the motives, if you know that the motive of someone is to come to dupe you, to steal the gifts that you have, then you will shut your door. You won't allow such a person to come in. That passage calls for continuous alertness.
I'll call you when I finish.
One should be on the alert, examining all that comes to you. Examine the works. Search for the motive behind it. If indeed it is in accordance with the laws of creation or with the laws of nature, then you may make a decision. Else, for those who are too indolent to examine spiritually, then they will fall prey to these false prophets, for the promises of the false prophets will come to naught. And those who follow the false prophet, because they were too indolent to examine, will have to undergo bitter experiences, such that if they are still not on the alert, then theirs is extermination. But if they are on the alert in the process of examination, they would already have found that the motives of the false prophet is only to enrich themselves, not to be of benefit to their listeners.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Mena, go on, Mena.
Yeah, I think I can quickly expand more on that because I think now that the worshippers, people who follow these prophets, actually satisfied with what they get from there. What you expect the human beings to actually be looking out for from these prophets?
In the first case, those people who follow the false prophets, you said they are satisfied.
Exactly.
But that is a wrong assumption. They have nestled themselves and they are too lazy to extricate themselves to act independently. If one is too lazy to extricate himself or herself and act independently, and one is now comfortable with such a state, many will call it satisfaction, but it's the indolence that leads to spiritual death. For each personality must examine not only intellectually, but above all spiritually. Only then will belief become conviction. Else, you have the scenario where you take things on the surface.
I
Take a simple
come
example,
on the radio.
as you will find in many a church.
Yes, that's what I'm
Many
doing. 16
are asked to give tithes.
I thought you were responding.
And
I thought you were responding to the text that I
followers
sent because I
struggle to ensure they provide the tithes.
yes, we do it live.
For
It's always live.
the leader.
It's always live.
Fair enough. When the leader is unwell,
take it.
he
Fine.
goes
Fine.
to the
Thank
person. When the leader is hungry, he uses the best restaurant. Meanwhile, those who follow cannot even feed themselves, cannot send themselves to the hospital, in spite of the fact that Christ gave the example of the Good Samaritan. then ask yourself, are these followers alive? If they are alive, they themselves will know that Christ gave and continues to give by his activities. Whereas these others take away and continue to take away, which is the exact opposite of what Christ did. If they themselves cannot come to that conclusion, it means they are satisfied with their spiritual endurance. And there is nothing anyone can do until they themselves awake from that condition.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I've got a text from a listener. I think they just want to give us a comment or answer a comment. This is what the comment is. For people to awaken to the law of returns, it will probably take the speeding up of these laws so that humanity will soon understand and obey these laws through this quickening. So, Gregory, would you like to say something on that? I'll repeat it again.
Could you read it again, please?
Yes.
I couldn't hear all of it.
Yes. For people to awaken to the law of returns, it will probably take a speeding up of these laws so that humanity will soon understand and obey these laws through this quickening. So, if you'd like to say something on that.
That is one observation. The laws, whether they quicken or not, for one who is indolent doesn't mean that one is intellectually brilliant. Indolence means the lack of spiritual indolence is the lack of activity of the spirit. Spiritually gone. For when the spirit is on the alert, when the spirit is awake, then in all directions, whatever assails it, whatever comes across, is able to examine. Scrutinize it in such a state that it scrutinizes, all right? It weighs whatever comes across. It examines whatever comes across. All right, that means it's able to allow it to sink from the frontal brain to the back brain, and from the back brain to the spirit, such that it's able to make conclusions, albeit initially gradually. In that state, it does not assume everything. Therefore, you will find there are many who are spiritually indolent and yet intellectually brilliant. What one is referring to here is spiritual activity, which only means is able to observe what happens in its neighborhood, what happens in nature, is able to put these things together and learn from it. A simple example is that of many a farmer who observes the weather and who, from time to time, because he or she is on the alert and wants to ensure that his or her sheep or whatever he cares for, all right, receive what they need. And because he or she is close to nature, is able to perceive the inner workings of nature, albeit in due course is able to perceive that there is more that meets the physical eye. And in that state, is able to perceive through different means that there are other beings in nature which we refer to as nature beings. And when in dire need, is able to cry out for help from these nature beings who are able to respond, are able to mediate that which they know. Such becomes a personal conviction because in their wakefulness, they are able to interact with these nature beings. Many a person who is not in such a state will deny and dismiss that because that person has not been in such a state until he or she has fallen in that state. And that is why many now say he or she who feels it knows it. That means he or she who has experienced, he or she who has that deep inner feeling knows it because it's knowledge. And in a step by step, gradually is able to connect with nature and therefore make use of that knowledge of the forces seen and unseen in nature and get results. Such a person does not require any further teachings, which teachings will only talk about intellectual things because it's a personal conviction. It is the same thing with a person who knows what prayer is all about. Prayer in which that he has been able to receive and in making use of what he has received. That is the prayer, to make use of that which has been received in accordance with the laws through which he himself and the whole of creation is governed. That is what prayer is. Having experienced one in the right way, it becomes a personal conviction. So, most of the things which are referred to are beliefs. But beliefs which can be right, which can be wrong, beliefs will only become conviction when the spirit has weighed it in accordance with its nature and is able to make use of it in accordance with the laws through which it, the spirit, has come into creation.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday night spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And if you're interested in getting a copy of the Grail message or get some information on the Grail message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And also, listeners, we are holding a talk in London, in central London, this Sunday at 1 p.m., 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., in fact. The venue is Theosophical Society, 50 Gloucester Place, London. I'm just going to check the postcode before I make sure I don't make any mistake about it. 1 second. So yes, London, W1U8EA. Basically, it's about 10 minutes walk from Baker Street Station. So there's a talk on introductory talk on the Grail message this Sunday, 1st of December, starting at 1 o'clock at the Theosophical Society. In fact, we're holding it in the room. It's a reference library. The room is called Reference Library on the first floor, and the address is of Theosophical Society is 50 Gloucester Place, London, W1U 8EA, and it's about 10 minutes walk from Baker Street Underground. So you're all welcome to attend there. And the topic we're discussing tonight is Our Works Follow Us. Our Works Follow Us. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us here in the UK number is 079 444 31366. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 31366.
Okay, can I ask a
Yes, go ahead, madam. Please do.
Yeah, Godfrey, can I ask this question? So when do our works follow us? At what time and how?
The question is when.
Yeah.
So when refers to time. As soon as there is an initiation, then a work has been established. And you now have that in the establishment of this work, which may manifest in due course, some of it physically, the gross material world, but behind it, that thread is still there. And because the thread is there, one is connected with this work. Once this has been placed there, in accordance with the laws of the attraction of similar species, we have, or there now exists, a basis for the attraction of similar species of this particular work, which then forms an accumulation. And the accumulation could start gradually and builds up and builds up. It then comes a time where it is dense enough for it to precipitate in the gross material world. But the energy and the threads are still there. And when it then precipitates, that is when we may find it here in the physical world, manifesting. When the question is asked, when? That depends very well on the intensity or the purity of that particular work and the state of those who are involved. It may happen that your works haven't given rise to it in the non-material or gross material, keeps floating. And because it could be of such a dense and wicked nature, such works may take hold on another person. And that person may then carry it out. That does not mean that you yourself are not a shareholder. You could be a shareholder because you had contributed to it in your thoughts, as you find in the gross perpetration of such wicked acts, as you find in wars or even in families, only to observe it and say, this is terrible. But meanwhile, you yourself have matured and moved further. But a comment on such or an observation of that is a reminder such that one should not be engaged in such. So the where and how depends on the dynamics, depends on the environment.
So, okay, thank you for that answer. Is it so? Can I look if yeah? Because many of us think that it's just this earth life. Anything I do in this earth life is done with in this earth life. Is that true? Is that correct? Anything I've done, anything I have, all my deeds are actually tied to this earth life, and there's nothing before or after. Is it correct for
In
me
the
to?
discussion one just mentioned, one said it depends on the environment. It depends on when these accumulations have been strong enough to precipitate the situation. But in each situation, one has an impression, one has an imprint in that thread, in that work that one has called or one has formed. The formation may be that the precipitation could happen, or precipitations could happen in this earth life, or it could happen in another earth life. But that thread is still there. So it doesn't mean everything has to happen in one earth life. The carryover is still there, unless, however, along the line, there have been the maturity and the threads which one has woven that gave rise to that in its kindness has been severed. So in that case, it means you do not no more supply further energy to such, and therefore you are able to move on. And such works, because they receive no further energy, will then dissolve. Just like it is your works, it is the work of the Spirit, the volition of the Spirit that enabled the formation of the earthly body. And after a while, when the Spirit has severed the connection with the earthly body, you now have the scenario which is referred to as death, in which the formation, the components that made the physical body falls to its initial state. That means they fall back. Instead of the complex molecules we have, they fall back to their initial state or to the state of the elements. That's what happened. It will take a long time for that to happen, but surely it does happen.
Okay. So would it be right to say that with regards to the number of people on Earth today, 7 billion plus, that each and every one person still has threats to unpack? Is that correct to say?
If there were no threats, they themselves or the personality would not be here. There are threads that have tied them. They themselves must have woven threads which permitted them to be around this time. Or there's something, some task which they need to do or to redeem themselves. But within the laws of creation or the laws of nature, if there is no connection, then one will not be connected to a particular scenario. Since the scenario we are talking about or we are discussing now is that of the earth, if there is no connection which would have been put in place through one's volition, then that personality will not be here. One is here because there is a connection. It is one's task to find out what that connection is, or what set of connections that made it possible for him or her to incarnate an experience.
So logically, that means every one of us, has a tie to, has some trace to tie. That might be correct. So every one of us, without exception.
Each personality is here because the personality has to experience. Experience because they have formed threads which permitted them to be here. If they hadn't formed any threads which permitted them to be here, then they will not be here. For the law of spiritual gravity will not permit them to be here, to be where they're not supposed to be. So, whether they are able to recognize that is a different kettle of fish, a different story. But if you are here, then it means there is a connection. If you're not here, then there's no connection.
Sorry, but if I'm on that notion, if I have that notion that I'm here because my parents actually protected me, and that's why I'm here. Would that be correct to believe that I'm only here because of my parents?
Or parents provide the possibility for one to be here. Just like parents will always assist in the development of the human spirit. But it is, the benefit is on both ways. But parents are the catalyst. They provide that possibility through their activity to ensure that the physical body, which is necessary to experience here on earth, is made available.
Okay, thank you. So, can there be any escape from deep?
Can there be any escape from one's deeds?
Yeah, it's like in confessions, like I could go to the priest and make a confession, get absolutely absolved of what all that process. I mean, can there be possessions, or atrocities committed?
Anna, can I just say something? Sorry, can I just come in? When you say deeds, deeds can be good or bad. And every time you speak, the impression I get, all your deeds are misdeeds. Yeah, I mean, what you've been talking about seems to be all the misdeeds or the bad deeds. And also when you use the reference to threads, it seemed as if you are tied. It just implies that these are all negative or bad deeds that are tying us down. But from what Gregory's been saying, their threads exist, whether it's good or bad. They exist anyway. Whatever deed you do, good or bad, the threads exist. So, when you say you're trying to untie yourself, yes, you can be tied, but you could be tied in the sense of the good deed as well. So, because you're because you're occupying a particular, let's say, you're on Earth right now. Not necessarily because of some bad deed, because you're here to experience. So, I just want to be clear. When you refer to the word deeds, are you talking about sort of bad deeds or both, good and bad?
I mean, if what I'm saying that for the fact that any personality is here on Earth at the moment is because there are some deeds, physical deeds, to which that person needs to expiate. That's why he's here.
Right.
And that is what Gregory just confirmed.
Yes.
So my problem is, can I escape from this deed through confessions, or through what other processes, or through
May I clarify that each personality is here because there are threads that have made it possible. Some of these threads which have issued from he himself or herself.
Yeah.
And that's what made it possible for the personality to incarnate in order to experience, all right, where these threads lead and all the things that appertain to it.
Okay.
Whether he or she is able to recognize what it's all about is a different story.
Yeah.
However, you will find that if the threats are of a terrible nature, it is that person himself who needs to come to a recognition. The threats or what he or she sees and believes and all. This one may refer to these threats or this the earthly part, the physical, gross material part. These are cognitive objects. What counts is understanding what lies behind it. That is coming to understand, which we refer to as recognition, which is more of a spiritual understanding of it. And many of these can only come about when one has absorbed the effects of these threats on one's not only physical body, but on one's inner soul. Once the spirit has learned from it, he or she may sever himself or herself from it. In many cases, it doesn't mean that he or she has done something bad. Of course, there are scenarios where they've done something bad and the traits they have. There are some others who, for one reason or the other, wish to understand the effects of such traits on themselves so as to be able to help. For how can you know something when you have not experienced it deep within you? But having such an effect on you, you have a deep understanding of it, and therefore you are able to walk away from such, for you now know where it leads to the depths. And with that, you are able also to advise many, which many may come to you for advice, for those who are even willing to listen. So the returns or what one's experiences are doesn't mean that you yourself are being a wicked person. Like we keep stressing, it is the motive. The motive is what is that energy, is that power which lies, and the attitude which lies behind what you see physically, manifestations. If it is that of nobility, of to be able to help, many a time you'll find to be able to help, you yourself will have to experience this very terrible path. And in the experiencing of it, you now work out a way of how to find solutions to this. Only then are you able to sit down or to understand people who have such terrible wishes and able to assist them to gradually move away from it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you. Is it for because of a certain deed, but it all amounts to an action taken in the past, whether by so well, I make a request to come to intercede on the behalf of other people, and that actually um, gives me that density, that provides me that density to sink into the material world. I quite understand that. Well, what I've just asked is that, is it possible to escape from a deed, whether good or bad?
Once a thread has been spun, unless you yourself have a counter way of severing that thread from you, if there is none, then it means the thread is still connected. The reactions or the returns will keep coming because there is a connection. If there is no connection, then the returns will not touch you, will pass you by. So, as with everything, there's either a connection, which you yourself have subscribed to. To subscribe to it means either you yourself have given rise to something terrible in the past, and now you have to experience it. If you experience it in the right way, and then sever yourself, then you move away and rise. That is redemption. On the other hand, you have that you didn't give rise to it, but you want to help. So you come in to experience it. And knowing what it is about, now you are able to advise many others on how they could sever themselves. So whatever it is, if there is no connection, then there is nothing you can do because there's just no connection. But if there is a connection through the volition or through the motive, that is what one is referring to as the motive, then we now understand that through the motive, which keeps the precipitation of these reactions alive, then you find that you'll be held or you're not held. It is not people who come to force you. It is you yourself who decides. For the human spirit retains the free will to make free decisions. The consequences of his or her free decisions only means that you have to experience it before you have decided. And therefore, having decided, follow that path. Otherwise, there is no free will. If you do not decide to follow that path, then you will not have given rise to the traits which brought you to that path.
Okay, we see human beings, in various states of, affliction. Would it be right for me to say that, well, everybody is, a function of the traits that put into creation, and in that case, sympathy or empathy towards people in different situations is not terrible. I mean, it's not necessary. How do you say it?
It will be very wrong to say when you see people in such a state and you say they have solved the threat. For unless you have clarity as to what brought it about, because there are some who wish to experience such difficulty in order to help. There are some who are who are in such a state because of their returns. The simple example one is stressed here is when Christ was asked, and who is our neighbor? And he gave the example of the Samaritan. The Samaritan never asked, never perceived, oh, these are the returns for these people. The priest came, went that way. The Levite came, went the other way. Then came the Samaritan, who didn't ask all these questions you just mentioned, but attended to that needed help. That is the attitude. He didn't say, pass comments, oh, it's their fault, they deserve it. That never happened. And Christ, for having given that particular example, one can only say he has shown the path, follow him.
Thank you. That's a good, that's a good clarification. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me come in and then
So,
you want to, yeah. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And if you want to get a copy of the Grail Message or want some information, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And also, we'd like to let you know there's a talk, an introductory talk on the Grail Message this Sunday in central London at 1 p.m. It's from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The venue is the Theosophical Society, and it's in the reference library there, Theosophical Society. The address is 50 Gloucester Place, London, W1U 8EA, and the nearest underground is Baker Street, 10 minutes walk from Baker Street. So just to say that again, there's a talk on the Grail Message, introductory talk on the Grail Message this Sunday in central London, 10 minutes walk from Baker Street. The venue is the Theosophical Society, in the reference library there, first floor. The address is 50 Gloucester Place, London, W1U 8EA. So you're welcome to attend that if you can. And the topic we're discussing tonight here in the studio is our works follow us. Our works follow us. So you're welcome to join with any question or comments. The number to contact us on our UK number, which is 079 444 313 66. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 313 66. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, you've been talking about motive. You know, in everything that we do, we do have a motive. So, what I want to ask you, what motive are we supposed to have? You know, if we were looking for, let's say, beneficial results. So, are we supposed to act in a neutral way, neutral attitude, or are we meant to have a particular, let's say, I don't know, when we said having a, like, let's say, positive attitude, meaning, you know, wanting to help or something to, let's say, good, or yes, or I mean, some people might sound crazy to say this, but somebody may have a negative attitude. Maybe they're angry or unhappy about life, and they think they need to express it in that way when the motive, you know, out of frustration maybe. It could be even worse, as we know there's good and evil, and people could have even a let's say, a nasty motivation. So I'm not. I think it's a bit obvious what that will do. But so yes, what sort of attitude are we meant to have, Gregory? The motive you mentioned. What sort of motive should we have? Neutral, good. I don't like to say bad because it sounds obvious. You shouldn't be bad. But let's just look at it. So what sort of motive should we have when we do our work? So when we
Well, before one even goes responding to what sort of motive, the key thing here is what should be of benefit to the human spirit, of benefit to the human spirit, not of benefit to the intellect. For once that becomes clear, that one seeks that which is of benefit to the human spirit, then the next thing one may ask, how do I know that which is of benefit to the human spirit? For that which is of benefit to the human spirit may seem hostile to that of the intellect, which has assumed superiority over that which is of spirit. That which is of spirit has more lasting values. And a simple example, you may have that you have a child who has a tendency for laziness. And that being the case, you feel so unhappy. You may say, I don't wish to hurt this child. Allow the child to waste his time and all the resources that have been made available. Therefore, it doesn't make any progress. On the other hand, you may have to put many a sanction on the path of this child, such that the child wakes up to the challenges which will help it to become alert to first physical alertness and also above all spiritual alertness. But you yourself must understand what physical alertness is and spiritual alertness is. So before one can impart some guidance on motive, one must consider that which should be of benefit to the spirit, for the spirit is what is alive. To be able to do that, help has always been granted. The help which one now knows has come in the form of the work in the light of truth, the grail message. Does it mean that one has to examine the work? To some extent, yes. But whoever harbors a good volition, whoever perseveres with a good volition, that which is of benefit to the spirit or benefit to the physical body, that is a beginning. Whoever is patient to ensure that there is fairness, whoever strives to come to final recognition on what he or she has observed, that is encouraged. So there is always, well, there are many things that one may refer to. But first, one should start with that which is simple, a bit at a time. The good volition is there. As has been mentioned in the Walk in the Light of Truth, it is said, keep the path of your thoughts pure. It is the purity of one's thoughts that is the key motive that one should have.
Thank you so much for that answer and explanation, Gregory. One thing we have not mentioned so far is the God and the, in these discussions. We talked about the laws of nature and the process of how the works work. So, first of all, is God involved in this process of, the laws, natural laws working? Or he stands beside that, beside them? Because we don't mention him so far. Or when I say him, that's only in quotes because we don't say God is he or she. So it's just only for our discussion. So yes, is God involved?
It is not true that the giver or the creator was not mentioned. It was mentioned but indirectly. For in the discussion, one had discussed or talked about the elements which are available for the formation of works. And one went further and mentioned the substances and therefore substantiality. On the other hand, one mentioned that the way these substances need to come together, there are laws that govern. These laws will be referred to as the laws of nature. But these substances and these laws, they need to be activated by power. The question each personality must ask themselves, whence and where comes this power? They should never rest until they are able to perceive this power, which is always available, the source of it. Then such questions as yours will not exist anymore.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Gregory. I am quite. I think we do not advocate the welfare state where sympathy has to be thrown at everybody who begs for it or asks for it, because people are in different states. Or a society should be that which helps the individual to work, to strive. And I don't want to well, suggest a communal state which obviously failed in some parts of the world. Now, can I go on to ask, question further? This question is, what do these, say of us?
Sorry, could you ask the question again?
What do these say of us?
Our deeds are reflections of our inner volition. They express the way we wish things to be. If our deeds are such that they should encourage others, it's because we ourselves have been encouraged by some other people's deeds, or we have observed many processes here and there, and we wish others to participate in such.
Thank you. Yeah, looking at the world, the earth, and the number of people on it, would you like to say that we are doing well? This mass number of people on earth today, do you think we are finding our way back home? Is this part of the plan that we should be this numbered this particular time?
What one may say with the number of people on it today is that the laws of creation, in combination with the love that runs creation, has granted many a grace, many an opportunity for many, for the inhabitants of the earth to mature. Whether they then use these opportunities to swing themselves up in accordance with these laws that granted them this opportunity, that is a different story. For the human spirits have free will. These opportunities are granted to the inhabitants, albeit the human spirits. One is not discussing about the plants, right? Neither of the animals on it, neither of the stones, neither of the air or fire or the cloud. What is discussed here are the human, that means the occupants, the human beings whose core is that of spirit. It is they who need to mature, for there is the possibility that the time granted to these occupants, that time may run out before too long. For the world of matter is temporal. It is temporal because that which is referred to as matter comes together, the units or the elements or the substances come together, fuse, form alliances, grow. That was what I refer to as form of integration. Gets to a peak and then disintegrates gradually into the individual or to the original substances. That's coming together, maturing, and then falling apart. It's a continuous process. And therefore, the inhabitants or the occupants, the human spirits that have taken on the forms which the earth is able to grant them, they have come with a motive with a purpose to be able to mature in accordance with the will of Him who granted them these opportunities. And if they do not, then the time of winnowing will come, and when they have not been able to have a firm personality, then they will have to go back to the original state, which is that of the spirit gem, a gem which has no personality. Whereas, had they matured enough in accordance with the will of their Creator, then they themselves will have a personality and will be able to support others who, like them, wants to have a personality. The danger is always there, and that is why there is the need for the human spirit to be on the alert, to be on the alert, to be able to watch, observe what is able to observe within the world of matter, outside the world of matter, the laws that may go on the maintenance, that watch, which calls for the high vibrations of the human spirit, and then able to form works with what it has observed, because it has the free will and it has the power granted to it temporarily. That is prayer.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I've got another question. Is redemption always assured if we are truly sincere? Is redemption always assured if we are truly sincere?
Redemption is only achieved when there is the recognition. If there is no recognition of what lies behind it, there is no redemption. For you must recognize. So when one is saying one is sincere, sincerity about what? One may talk about sincerity when when you have the overview, right, the aerial picture, and you are earnest, good volition. What you have in many scenarios, one is earnest or sincere. Now, subsequently, the person falls back. So, redemption is one true activity, not one says, I am sincere and does nothing. Only through earnest activity can redemption be achieved. For otherwise, many will say, I'm earnest, and fold their arms. Yes, you are earnest, and so what? If you are earnest, then form works that are earnest and are sincere. Sincerity in accordance with the laws through which you, the human spirit, came into existence. Then, whatever works you form are works that are lively, are works which will be of benefit not only to you, but but also to your environment and also those creatures who, like you, are striving for spiritual recognition. Then one can talk of sincerity.
Yeah, I'm looking at this sincerity. It means you could be sincere to a priest and confess your sins. Would that in itself expiate a sin that is committed?
The assumption here is that the priest has the keys to forgive or not to forgive. If a priest hasn't suffered anything personally, he is not connected to you. So, how can he forgive you when he himself was never personally involved? One may forgive some other person that which he himself or herself has suffered. So when you go to a priest and ask for forgiveness, the priest may only act as an advisor to go back and do that, or if it's possible to undo, or to make amends if really you are earnest about it. If the priest doesn't act in such a way, then the priest is in error. For the laws of creation which says that which you have sown, you yourself must reap. If, however, you set out on a path that will show your earnestness to undo by offering services to others, then you show your earnestness, because in such a state, you yourself have changed internally, such that the returning waves which come through the threads will find a changed person, and the severity with which they would have struck you is much reduced, because you are not in harmony with such base threats anymore. They are falling away.
Thank you for that clarification. Greg, the Reverend Fathers, or sorry, not some priest, let me say these non religious peoples, so to speak, are following on the heels of what they perceived Christ to have done, by forgiving the sins of many, looking to perhaps the thieves of the cross, who may assure purity in paradise. Are you able to throw light on, what Christ, how Christ forgave? I mean, was it was it was he giving them a clean slate to retreat in heaven? The thief on the cross? Would they not have gone for their sins?
In most or in all cases, those who approached Christ, like you want to mention on the cross, they themselves have come to the recognition, and that's the first. They have come to the recognition. With recognition, it's as if the bandage falls. Having asked, having come to the recognition, they then asked for help.
Yes.
And Christ, being the good helper, granted them that help.
Yeah.
For the one who has never or has not come to recognition, who still harbors the wrong ways, there is nothing Christ can do. There was nothing he could do. For instance, the other thief on the cross. So, for those who wish or who strive for redemption, through their striving,
Yeah.
they give evidence, consistent, self-consistent evidence of where they wish to be. Such is such selfless or such activity grants them the possibility because they are open. For when you become open through your activity, then you are able to receive of the power which is granted you. And for those who remain closed, when something is closed, how can you pour water on something which is closed?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm getting a little recognition now. But, you know, the opportunity. This recognition, which is sinners, so to speak, carried, gave them the opportunity through Christ to redeem themselves in paradise. Would that be correct to say?
But
Would
could
they
you
not
repeat,
have-
could
yeah,
you repeat that? Because
the
I
recognition, the recognition, yeah, the recognition these sinners, so to speak, carried, which Christ recognized in them, which he says to them, gave them that opportunity to offer them that opportunity. So, yeah, was a kind of spur to offering them an opportunity to redeem themselves to a state where they can be in paradise. Would that not be correct?
the process has to be observed very carefully.
Yeah.
For in the process of the striving to come to recognition,
Yeah.
the way is still not completely open.
Yes, that's true.
It's like here we are discussing.
Yeah.
Either you resonate in the discussions we have, the vibrations of the electrical waves or whatever, or electromagnetic waves, one, you are able to listen to our discussions because there is that resonance, and therefore it becomes distinct and clear. And whatever things we need to discuss, you are able to pick it up and make use of it. If, however, there is no resonance, then there is no connection, and that means you can't hear me. In the process of striving for recognition, the process continues until you get a point of recognition, thorough recognition. It means, therefore, there is a resonance. Resonance, which one may refer to as the law of attraction, of homogeneity. That means the human is now vibrating in such a state that power, which power is with him himself, Christ, was able to grant them that power, to make use of the power so as to swing themselves up back home to paradise.
Yes, I agree. On that note, yeah, thank you so much. I think we're out of
Yeah,
time
we've
now.
come to the end of our show.
Yeah.
I want to ask, before I finish, actually, I just want to say, dear listeners, thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. I just want to remind you, we are holding a talk to introduce the Grail message this Sunday, 1st of December, in central London. at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is at the Theosophical Society, number 50, Gloucester Place, London, 1W 8EA. It's 10 minutes walk from Baker Street. I'll repeat the venue. This the talk on the Grail message this Sunday, 1st of December, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Theosophical Society. The address is 50 Gloucester Place, London, W1U8EA, and it's 10 minutes walk from Baker Street. And actually, the room we are using is the reference library. So you're welcome to attend that if you're available and you can get there. That'll be good. And you'll get a chance to meet us as well. That will be nice, hopefully for you as well. So yes, we look forward to coming back. We'll be back next Tuesday with another topic. So I'd like to ask my two colleagues, Gregory, anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
I wish them a beautiful week.
Thank you. And Mena, what would you like to say?
Yeah, as always, this is just our perception of the work in the light of truth. It's up to you to drop a copy and to examine it for yourself and make it personal to you.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, thank you for saying that. Yes, we all urge you, listeners, to examine this work for yourself. I won't take any more time now because our next show is going to start. So I wish you all a great week. God bless. Take care, everybody.